guys, welcome to my kitchen. Today the Almond Board of California have challenged me to create a really delicious beauty boosting snack recipe. So I'm going to show you how to make my incredibly nourish, crunchy, raw Almond Rocky Roads. These are so delicious, no baking is required. So the main ingredient and the ultimate kind of skin glowing ingredient is almonds. They are full of vitamin E. In fact, like just a handful, raw or roasted, contains about 60% of your daily recommended intake, so they're pretty fantastic. I actually love them. I look to my food first when my skin gets a little bit dry or oily, spotty, and I always make sure that beyond kind of buying lots of great products for my skin, I also pack in those kind of good fats, and almonds is a great way to do that. So to make the Rocky Roads, what you're going to need almonds and almond butter. So the amazing California almonds and the almond butter make the bulk of the ingredient. They're really rich in fibre and protein, so they pack in a lot of goodness to this sweet treat. The other two things we're going to need for sweetness, we've got some dried fruit, so we're not using any kind of sweeteners, liquid sweeteners or anything. We're using sultanas and medjool dates. They are both super sweet, but they also have some nutrition too. So we're making sure we kind of cover all areas here. We've got some cacao powder for that delicious, rich, chocolatey taste. And we've got some coconut oil to make sure that it kind of sets into that rocky road consistency you're used to. And then just for a final bit of crunch, we've got some oat cakes, which is basically like oat kind of cookies. They're just 100% oat. But if you don't have this, you can get any kind of biscuity texture. Just break them up and we're going to put it into the mixture. So first, there's two things we need to do. We need to just add these medjool dates, which I already pitted, and just make sure there's no stones in there. We're going to add it to a pan. And then I'm just going to cover with around half a cup of just water. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these on the hob, just a kind of medium to high heat for around probably about 5 minutes until they become really, really soft, but not completely disintegrated. So you want just really mushy dates. Then we're going to drain them. And then we're also just going to melt the coconut oil before we whiz it all up into a paste. So we have got melted coconut oil, and I've got some drained medjool dates. So the first step, bring them over here. I'm going to pop them into the blender. And we're going to do this in stages so we can make sure it whizzes up, because you don't need a high-speed blender, you just need to make sure you do it in little steps. So I'm just going to chuck all these into the blender. We've got these beautifully sweet, gooey medjool dates. Looking very, very delicious. And we're going to blend them up first with about 3/4 a cup of almond butter. I made mine at home with some California almonds. You can make them at home, really, really easy. Just put them in a food processor after they're roasted, or you can buy some as well. So I'm going to pop about 3/4 a cup or so running into the food processor. Cool, so everything's in the blender for now. We've got the almond butter and dates, and we're just going to put it on and slowly start to blind into. There we go. Cool. Perfect. So now what we need to do is add in the cacao powder and the coconut oil. So hopefully the coconut oil would have cooled a little bit by now. I'm just going to add them both in, and you've got this glorious mix where it's just completely smooth and delicious. So we're going to just add in the coconut oil. So first things first. We've got the coconut oil poured in. Yummy. This is about a cup. And then you've got about a cup as well of the cacao powder. So this is going to make it so rich and silky. Okay. Lid back on. Don't want it puffing up in your face. And then just a little bit more blending. Let's go. So now we've got our amazing sticky fudgy chocolate mix. We're just going to get a big bowl and scrape it in there. Smells amazing. So pretty much all scraped now. Probably leave the blender in, get a spooner, eat the rest later. But now all we need to do is chuck in our amazing filling ingredients. So we've of course got the almonds, which is really what makes these so crunchy. And you can just chuck them in whole. You can also roast them, that's also really delicious sometimes. Just kind of combine that a little bit. And then again, we've got you can use 1 to 2 cups of sultanas. I'm using a cup really. And that's totally up to you how much you want to use. You can start with a little bit and then have a little play and add some more. You can add different dried fruits as well. The final thing are these really yummy oat cakes. So this is just delicious because it's like that kind of the biscuit that you have, except it's no sugar, it's just oats. So you just want to crunch it up. You want kind of little chunks, probably like thumbnail size, and you can just kind of just do this as you go. Then we'll just mix it all in. Cool, so now, slowly, because it's so sticky, you want to try and combine it all so it's all evenly combined. Perfect, so it's looking pretty good. Very gooey and sticky. So we just need to get a tray. You can use about a brownie sized tin for this. You can also use, because we're not baking, if you don't have one the right size, you can use a Tupperware as well. So you just want it quite long. Line it with a bit of parchment paper. I'm going to put it in there, just evenly spread it so it's really nice and flat, and then put it in the freezer for anywhere really from half an hour to an hour. It totally depends on how hot your mixture is as well, but you'll know because it will be completely hard and crunchy, and that's what you want. So now we have our little brownie tin, lined with some parchment paper. We're just going to shovel this mixture in. Okay, so again, because it's so sticky, it's quite tough. The best way to do this is to use your hands, just to make sure it goes completely, and it also gives you a good excuse to have some chocolate before it's set. Lick your fingers. Oof. So once it's all in, we'll just flatten it all out and then just chuck it in the freezer for a little bit. And then using your hands, or you can also kind of use both, but it's going to get more sticky if you do that. So probably just spread it out, patting it down. Shouldn't be too oily at all. It will be quite easy to kind of form into the right shape. It's quite like a dough, chocolatey, gooey dough. Perfect. So they're ready for the freezer. We're going to go pop them in for around half an hour. So after about an hour, it was probably more like an hour, not half an hour, in the fridge, they are rock hard. So I'm going to take it out and cut some really lovely chunky Almond Rocky Roads slices. So these babies aren't only incredible for you, boosting beauty from the inside out, but they also taste so good. So we can just cut some really lovely, large chunks. Ooh. Look at that for a slab, so good. Okay, so there we go. Ooh. All shapes and sizes. There we have it. We've got our amazing crunchy Almond Rocky Roads. So good for you, taste amazing, and so many beauty benefits. I hope you guys love this recipe as much as I do. I will leave the whole recipe, the ingredients, and the lowdown on my blog, so go check that out. And I'll see you in my kitchen next time. Thanks guys.